Mm-hmm.
You've been very vocal about like mental health and your journey throughout that. So take us through like the process of like you realizing there was something there and then dealing with it.
So I didn't have like the way that I got a rude awakening. Like,
Yeah.
I had a manic episode.
Yeah, you mentioned
and it
that
lasted
several
like,
times.
a week. I was in the hospital. I was in a facility. I had to like come out and relearn everything. Like I had to figure out, like who I was. Like,
What age was this?
This was 2017. So I was 22, turned 23.
Okay.
And it happened like on Periscope too. Like it was broadcasted.
Were you going through some stuff at that time, or just?
So I mean, I dealt with depression. I had a blog where I like wrote way too much of my life, but I like wrote my way through a depression. So it was like everything I was doing was, and I still struggle with that now because like I want to get on TikTok and things like that, and I should be on IG Live every day, whatever, just pushing things forward. But it's tough. Like it's tougher for me. I don't know, like because like I used to do everything. Like I used to write everything. I used to stream everything. I used to like whatever. And it's just like that ended up being the downfall in that moment. Like when I was going through it, I was so it's just like my mom wanted me to go to therapy. I thought that if I went to therapy, it meant something was wrong with me, so I didn't want to go. Then I started going to therapy. Thank God. It was one of them, like, amazing. I recommend therapy to everybody, and not just on some cliche shit, but like even just to help you unpack your own thoughts and understand them. It did a lot for me. It saved my life ultimately. But and then so I had a manic episode. I was dealing with depression, things like that. It happened on Periscope, so everybody knew. So then it was like kind of weird when I got back because everybody was like, "Yo, like like." It's a little scared. You the hot button. Like we gonna leave you over there and see what's going on.
So did you just address it immediately when you got back on?
I mean, like I addressed it, but there was only so much to address. Like everybody saw it. So it's just like I had to really work through it, and addressing it was the least of my worries. It was really like okay, like because while I was in the facility, they came in the room, they put me in the room, and there was like 9 doctors in there, and they were like, "We're just here to let you know that you have bipolar disorder," and I was like, "Hi, I'm Sean. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't even know. I've never seen you before. How are you telling me what I have? So I didn't really like accept it off rip. It was really weird for me. It was strange. But then once I got out and started like relearning myself and like really evaluating the situation, and like my parents were really helpful. They were like so supportive, and they read everything they could read. They went and found people who dealt with it before so that I could talk to them and get a better understanding, and that we could all work together on it. Yeah, really, really, really strong support system. I had some really great friends who were there supporting me through the way. And then it got to a point where I lost what I was going to say in that sentence. I had my parents, my friends.
It got to the point where...
It got to the point where I don't even know. Damn, I lost it. That's crazy.
That you was getting out of it. That you was...
Yeah. So basically, it got to a point where it was like, okay, like okay, there we go. Boom. Thank you. I was able to understand. So I'm looking at the symptoms and everything, and I'm reading about it, and I'm just like, okay, hold on, like as I read these symptoms, this sounds like very regular shit. Like like. You go through periods where, things are down. When they're down, they're really down. Like when they're up. They fluctuate sometimes.
It's like a heightened sense of it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, this sounds like something that happens to people in regular everyday life that maybe maybe it's not that I'm not bipolar. Maybe more people are bipolar. Maybe bipolarity is like, I feel like mental health is more than like, mental health doesn't only apply to people with diagnoses. You feel me?
Exactly.
So it's like, I feel like those things apply to everybody. So I feel like it honestly gave me an advantage, because I was able to learn myself. I was able to understand. I was able to have a greater understanding. I was able to, and that's where therapy helped as well. Just to like, the most important thing about mental health, in my opinion, or I shouldn't say the most important thing. That's an arbitrary statement, and I would never make something like that about a topic like that. But a very important aspect of mental health is how you talk to yourself. Because at the end of the day, like nobody can save you from that conversation. Like, and you're stuck with the conversation you have with yourself all day. So like, in even the smallest things, because like it applies to everything. Every single thought you have, every single perspective on everything can be affected by how you talk to yourself largely. So like therapy helped me to, unpack things a little bit, figure out how I thought, but also like how I handle my problems. And I feel like had I not gone through that experience of the manic episode of having to recover and come back and figure myself out and relearn myself, then I would have been derailed by some things that have happened since. Like, there's been much harder times since then. But like, I've been prepared. I've been able to handle them. I've been able to, like, you know, process my thoughts and be like, okay, compartmentalize is important too. Like, all right, I know this is going wrong, but I feel like what I would do back then and what I try to talk people out of doing now is like, you know, when I was going through my depression, when things were bad, it would be like, I'd be having a bad day, and, you know, but it could just be a regular ass day, and then one bad thing happens.
And it ruins your whole day.
And it ruins my whole day.
I'm trying to tell people, yes.
And not only does it ruin my whole day, but part of the reason it ruins my whole day is because when that one bad thing happens, I start thinking about the 6 other bad things that are going on. And now it's 7 bad things on me, and it's a boulder on my chest. And so I try to tell people, like, isolate your problems. Like, you feel me? If you have 7 things, break that big-ass boulder into 7 little rocks, and you can move them off your chest rather than having to get this big-ass boulder off your chest.
And that goes into what you were saying about, you know, even though you've been diagnosed with something, and you're reading upon it, this is like regular stuff, because people do that all the time. Like, they get up at 7 a.m., go to work, they may spill something on themselves, or, oh, today's going to be a horrible day. It doesn't have to be. It's your day hasn't really even started yet. So many great things can happen, and if you hover on this one bad thing, you won't appreciate it, you won't accept it, you'll probably miss out on it because you're still so focused on the negative thing that happened early in the morning. So definitely felt what you said in regard to that.
And I'm also very competitive. So it's like, I refuse, I mean, at least I do my best to. I try not to let the same thing beat me 2 days in a row. Like, you know, if something gives me a bad day, like if something goes on, it's like, damn, like, shit, I had a car issue today. Like, you feel me? I try not to let anything beat me 2 hours in a row for real. Like, I even tell people, like, when somebody says they're having like, oh, today sucked and it's 5 o'clock, it's like, bro, you got 7 hours left. Like, how can you make it better? Like, it sucked before, like you said, though, but like, that one thing doesn't have to ruin your day. So I try to make it so that, like, you know, if something happens today, I can leave that in today, move on to tomorrow, and like not be bogged down by it.
Yeah, me too. Since I was a little kid, I lived by that. Like, I like when something, I could be in a moment, something's happening, I'm already thinking about, okay, if I can't control it, I just can't control it. I'm not going to dwell on it. I mean, one time my car broke down, and in the middle of the road, we broke down. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, all right, I can't do nothing about this right here. I'm just thinking about, okay, how can I just figure this out and move forward? You know what I'm saying? So, and I've been like that since I was a kid. So I think that's very important what you said. Like, don't dwell on stuff.
Yeah.
Most def. And before we move on, the brand Impossible OP.
Impossible, you feel me?
I'm possible.
I'm possible.
Okay.
And that was inspired off of, you know, your journey, correct?
That was inspired off my journey. The mental health aspect of it was inspired by my journey. I've actually always wanted to make impossible stuff because my mom is a writer, and she was also a public speaker. Well, she hasn't done it in a while, I guess. Whatever. So, one thing that she said, I was like 9 years old probably, but she had this thing about turning impossible to impossible, and I like loved it right away.
Okay.
And so as I got older, I was like, yo, like, do you mind if I use that for like a brand? And I wanted to make t-shirts years ago, forever ago. And so after like, you know, my diagnosis and all that stuff, and like after mental health became so important to me, I felt like I could integrate the two and be able to use the heart semicolon logo for the, you know, the semicolon is the symbol for mental health, about your story being, you know, never being finished. And so I was able to take that and also have it double as the apostrophe that turns impossible to impossible. So, you know, just being able to like put those two things together really helped out a lot. And I feel like it was able to really have, like, you know, because like it is the driving force behind it, but I already had the impossible idea. And so, you know, things happen when they're supposed to. Had I done it before, I wouldn't have, you know, it wouldn't have meant what it meant.
Most definitely. Go get your hoodies.
Yeah, hoodie, impossibleop.com, you feel me?
Most definitely.
Various colors available. Blue and orange ones just dropped today. And so do the red ones.
Most def. And now onto the fun stuff.